I'm so excited to share that through Executive Endurance Coaching, I've officially joined Never Second's Coach and Nutritionist program. Never Second is a science driven performance nutrition brand built specifically for endurance athletes. I've personally been using their fueling system for years in my own training, and I love how simple, precise their approach to carbohydrate fueling is for runners, cyclists, triathletes, you name it. And today, if you want to try Never Second for yourself, our listeners can get 15% off by using the code GRIT15 at checkout. GRIT 15 at checkout. Just head to never2.com and start fueling your training with intention. This episode is brought to you by Koya Performance for Life. Koya combines wearable technology with behavioral science to help you unlock more energy and perform at the highest level. Their coaches have worked with Olympians, Super Bowl MVPs, World Series champions, and other elite performers. Their 12-week program focuses on sleep, exercise, nutrition, mindset, and recovery, blending biometric data from wearables like Aura, Whoop, or Garmin with one-on-one coaching from a team that includes a dietitian, sleep coach, movement specialist, and mental performance coach. I'll personally be participating in their March cohort and will be sharing updates with you along the way so you can hear exactly what the experience is like. Grit Files listeners today receive 33% off the program using the code AGRANDOFF. Visit koya.life to learn more. Hello. I'm your host, Laura Reynolds, and today we have the founder of Formula for Success, Andrew Hartnett. Welcome to the Grit Files.
Hello. Pleasure
So
to
I'm
be
gonna,
here virtually.
yeah, it's been a minute, but
Yes.
Andrew and I have actually a lot of history when I go back
Yeah.
years wise. So just to kind of give the listeners, the viewers, an idea of how we came to know each other. Um, Andrew's sister and I were friends years ago, and her husband Wes, and we got introduced in some social setting, I believe. And you ended
Might
up
have been her
moving.
bachelorette.
That's right.
I think it's your bachelorette, yeah. And
Yes,
Megan and Wes are here in Tampa, across the
yes, you're
water.
visiting. Oh man,
Weird
I wish
stuff
they would have
happening.
been like
Yeah.
making an appearance. That would have been
I
sick.
know. Photobomb.
Um, so today I want to talk a little bit about the entrepreneurial side of things. So on the Grit Files, we kind of talk to all walks of life, people that have had, it's the stories of struggle and chaos and failure, even maybe, that happen in their journey to success. And I know you and I talked early on before I started my coaching career because I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell am I getting myself
You've come a
into?
long way in a short amount of time. It's impressive.
You were like, buckle up, girl, because this is
Yeah.
wild. Um,
Exactly.
so we're going to unpack that entrepreneurial journey today. And I always start with a quote, and I actually snagged one from your Instagram that we're going to use. So I'm going to take you
Okay.
off guard. But for the viewers for the listeners that can't see behind me, um, the whiteboard says, stop doing what everyone else is doing. Your specific quote was actually, don't do what other people are doing. And I think as we kind of get into the entrepreneurial journey, well, I'm sure it's only natural that we'll talk about like it does require an extreme amount of doing something that someone else is not doing
Yes.
because you have to differentiate
100%.
yourself in this space. Um, so want to get into kind of what what brought Formula for Success on? You got out of the corporate setting. You were working with some pretty big names. You were
Yeah.
successful. There was like nothing
Yeah.
quote
Yeah.
unquote wrong, right? So
No, no.
what
Yeah.
drove you to want to break out of the corporate world and even go this entrepreneurial route?
Yeah, for sure. So I do think I always had um, maybe like an inclination or belief that I wanted to do my own thing one day, whatever that meant. And my career was not really a winding path. I didn't have this like grand vision 10 years ago. I just felt similar to the apropos quote, like challenging the status quo. I'm not that interested in what everybody else is doing. The rules are
Right.
meant to be broken. You live once. Like all those things was always kind of intrinsic in my DNA. And so I spent about 10 years doing enterprise consulting, working with major companies. I did 7 years as a consultant for Google. I managed global teams. I managed 500-person teams. Cool technology areas, Google Maps, Google augmented reality, Waymo self-driving cars. I really did love my corporate career. It was an adventure, but it was accelerated development, I would say. And I
Yeah.
think 2022, I had these ideas floating around in the background. I had a fatigue. I wanted to do something different. I was honestly burnt out. I mean, that's like the hilarious paradox of starting the company. And I have as your friend as an entrepreneur because I left corporate because I was burnt out. I
Same.
didn't really know what I was getting
Same.
in. Yeah, it's
I was like,
like
I
out
know
of
I
the
can't
frying
take this.
pan into the inferno.
Right.
Um, but and then in terms of the idea itself, so the genesis of Formula for Success, it started with my dad. So my dad was in sales for 50 plus years, and Formula for Success was basically a sales and account management framework that he created to drive repeatable success. What are the strategies you need to do? How do you reduce risk and variance? How do you consistently hit your numbers? And so it started out in that sort of like sales framework and context. And then when I left the Google ecosystem, I didn't totally have it all. I didn't have anything figured out, to be candid. But I thought it'd be cool to pay homage to the old man,
Yeah.
start the company. Really, how Formula for Success originated was like a PowerPoint spreadsheet, like a PowerPoint slide deck. So
Nothing cute.
just random, just riffs, interesting things, research. Like I'm really interested. I have a psychology background. I'm interested in neuroscience. I'm interested in health and physiology. There's a lot of overlaps. I was an athlete, and so I just would write down riffs, frameworks. Could be financially focused, relationship focused, career focused. And then when I left corporate, dove in the deep end, I had to like turn this PowerPoint into a business.
Right.
Like, how does one do that? I have no idea. You know what I mean? And we didn't
Yeah.
have ChatGPT or Grok back
I
then.
know. Like would have been a lot easier.
I agree. So I was basically just going off script, following the universe, following my gut. But that's kind of how it started with Formula for Success. Obviously, it has evolved. I'm happy to share more about like what we
Yeah.
do today, but that was sort of the principle. How do you create repeatable systems, which
Hmm.
are important in any aspect of your life? Like look at an aspect of your life that's going great. What are the things that you do intrinsically? It could be athletics, and then how do you replicate those conditions in another pursuit? And so that's kind of how it all started. And here
Yeah.
we are.
And we talked about that. I remember that being a theme because you had asked me at the time, what's your idea? What's going to be
Yeah,
coaching offer? Like, what are you going to be called? And
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
pitching the idea to you first. You were probably the
Okay,
first person to
cool.
hear it. And it was like a live idea, like to your point, like I
Yeah,
really wasn't
yeah,
sure. It was like developing as the train was, I was building the train as
yeah.
we were driving it.
Of
Um,
course.
and this whole idea of athletics was big for you and I to talk about, but also like the data around athletics too was big for us. Like you were much bigger into the data side, and I was much more into like the themes of endurance
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
that how does that translate? And I think we both
Yeah.
had we agreed on the fact that like so much of this shows up in the corporate space that like how do we channel that
Yeah.
to
Exactly.
something that you make scalable and something that you make
Yeah.
a business.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Which is a Herculean endeavor. Like, how do you have this like energy setting and this idea, and there's value in it, but to like turn that into a revenue producing business is like a very weird and murky process,
mhm.
and some people write a business plan and then they go execute it. Other people quit their corporate job from Vegas and then are like, okay, now I got to figure something out.
And when I first
So,
started, I don't know if you're an Orange County fan, like Jack Black, but that movie where he's like, I
yeah,
just got all these ideas, like a hack,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
this, and that is how it felt going into
yep,
this space because I was
yeah,
like, there's so many pieces that I want to kind of try to move. And
yeah,
how
for
do we
sure.
create like a synergistic offer off of these
Yeah, yeah,
various things? So
for sure,
the
for
PowerPoint.
sure. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, 100%. And that he does capture the truth of it. Like a lot of the process is organizing, parsing through, like quieting the mind, because the mind is years ahead. I've
right.
found for myself. Like
Yeah.
the business is
Great.
elegant, beautiful thing in my head. Okay. But like how do I get that from my head to a page to that's the
Right.
challenging part.
Yeah.
So
The gif of like all the math adding up and
that's what it
yeah.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Um, where was I going with this? I had a question for this.
maybe sports. Maybe you're talking about sports as an overlay.
I really do like that part because I think
Yeah.
we shared,
Yeah.
a lot of conversation around that. You mentioned that you were an athlete, and I do find that a lot of people that go into this entrepreneurial direction, but also some of the high performers that are in the corporate setting, if you go back in their background, a lot of them do have sports as their foundation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how do you feel like, first of all, let's talk about the sport you played, and how do you feel like that kind of set the tone for how you wanted to move forward and
Yeah,
you
for
created
sure.
a business?
I think sports are so important. It's a metaphor for life. Like sometimes you feel good, sometimes you feel like shit. Like you got to show up. It's not just you. You're playing for something bigger. So I was a soccer player. Um, Played at a very high level. I was probably a notch below being good enough to make it a career. I have friends that played professionally. My
Yeah,
girlfriend played professionally. But for me, um, I followed it all the way through high school. I was looking at where I might go with it. I had different offers, but I really wanted my dream school was UNC. I wanted to go to
yeah,
UNC. So I ended up playing club soccer there. It was like kind of the perfect blend. We had a really good team. We had a lot of the like guys who couldn't keep their grades up for varsity. It was like an
right.
amazing team, but we were self-run and it was fun. So I'm like very content with how that all like worked out, if that makes sense. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Short of a career in the MLS, I feel like I kind of reached the proper point of potential. But like for me, it was just, yeah, it's a metaphor for life. Like you can go into a different maybe mode as an athlete where you can push through difficulty, quiet the mind, like push through the run, whatever the case may be. I think it's an overlay for everything in life. And I think physical struggle puts like mental struggle in some kind of a perspective. Like it's
yeah,
tough to be stressed out. It's tough to wake up and be overwhelmed. It's tough to feel like you bit off more than you could chew, but like it's different than whatever. You're running stairs and you're getting cramps in your gas. So like if you can I find it to be almost like a relief if I'm really struggling with the stress of the business to go do
yes,
like a very difficult workout because
yes,
endorphins, all the positive chemical, it's drugs for your head, but it also puts it in perspective because then I'm running, doing something nuts, and I'm like, oh my God, like sending an email is like pretty easy. So
yeah,
it's a helpful frame. And then what you said earlier with the quote is perfectly apropos. One of our core values is embrace type 2 fun. So like type 2
yes.
fun is the
I have
set
a
of
shirt
things
that says
that
it.
it's a great shirt. In Goggins we trust. Like it's
Yeah,
a like doing the set of things that aren't necessarily pleasant now, but that drive growth. And like that is what life is about. And I mean that's what a business is about. Like you can't take all the learnings and the maturity
hmm.
without the suffering.
Oh,
You can't have
yeah,
one without the other. It's like a duality. So I just think sports is a really important overlay, and that think that like frames the mindset of athletes. And that's why when you first talked about your idea, like there was a lot of ideological common ground between us, I feel. And
yeah,
now that I've seen your children playing lacrosse, your husband reffing lacrosse, they're all buzzing around scoring goals. Like you have a family of athletes, and that's
yeah,
I mean that's so yeah, I think it's important in everything, to be
yeah.
honest.
Yeah, I do. And I to your point, I come back to a lot of sports references when I do talk to my daughter about life lessons. And I
Yeah,
think there's a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of feel good that happens within sport, but I think there's also a lot of necessary pain. There's a lot of necessary
yeah,
loss that like a
yeah,
lot of my races that I've really blown up in have been the ones where I've walked with more data about myself and how I need to show up for the next one than I may
for
have walked
sure.
away with had I gone like perfectly well. Like I didn't learn a lot from those
100%.
races. I
I
walked away
agree.
like pretty cocky, but if I
Yep. Yep.
didn't do well and it blew up despite the fact that
Yeah.
I stuck to the perfect plan,
Yeah.
that's what really
Yeah.
kind of I actually love that because I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
this gives
Yeah.
me like room to play around with what could I have
Right.
changed? Is it nutrition? Is it sleep
For
differently?
sure.
Is it like
Yeah.
more
You're getting better
strength?
insights. Yeah. You're getting
Yeah.
better insights for sure. Yeah.
Sports provide that. Um,
Yeah. No, I could not agree more. I think one of the benefits of the business for me, I did have a fear of failure my whole life, I think. I was afraid I had such a clean track record, like good
yeah.
grades, this, that, and the other, that it almost becomes like self perpetuating. And
Yes.
so, like, if you have this clean track record, and you carry the weight of that clean track record. But like like sometimes I think about it's actually healthy for high performers sometimes in certain contexts to like be okay with an A minus or a B plus. So it was like because like the incremental effort required to get the A plus 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 like might not be worth it. And like burns you out
Right.
elsewhere. You have a finite pool. So for me, I feel that the business eradicated a lot of that fear of failure because if you're doing something hard, you're putting yourself on display. Like there's nowhere to hide. It's just you. And I
Right.
think like it sucks for a while, but I find it like freeing after the fact. I find myself to be more like Zen in life because you really cannot accomplish your potential if you're not failing a lot. And again, I
Right.
think when you're in that mode of scurrying around and achieving, you lose sight of that. And then
Yeah.
once you just get your teeth kicked in, I don't know, I developed a better sense of humor with myself. I don't take myself that seriously.
Yeah.
I think it makes me a better coach because I'm more human. Like you've seen more of the fires, so you're more relatable. And people, we're all just trying to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? Like, what is this? So just trying to
Right.
figure it out. So I
We're
think
all
it's
in
just
this
like
shared experience.
in this shared experience, it's a circus act. So like, it's helped me just have a more, I think, healthy mindset towards failure. And then like one of
Yeah.
my little risks is I always think about life as a computer adaptive test. And so basically you take the GMAT, you take the GRE, the better you do, the harder the questions get. And like life's like that too. It's like if you are able to perform with perfect competence and you stay there, like you're not growing. You got to go in the next
Right.
zone or the next ring of achievement and start at the bottom. And it sucks, but it's valuable. And yeah, it's just I think it keeps life interesting to be
Yeah.
honest. So
And I found, and tell me if you've kind of experienced this from your end too, but especially in the coaching space, I feel like a lot of people either take it as like a part-time thing or they're looking for a chance to like, I just want to work remote and I want to be able to do my own schedule and I want to be able to start
yeah,
the day when I want. And they kind of want to stay in this box that's comfortable. And I feel like those are actually the ones that struggle the most. Is like you've gotten into this thinking that you have to wait for the perfect time for when you're ready and when it
yeah,
feels
yeah,
perfectly
yeah,
comfortable. And I think you and I can both agree that in order
yeah,
to really grow exponentially
yeah.
in a short amount of time is not comfy. Like it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
very
it sucks.
uncomfortable.
It's honestly, it sucks a lot of the time, but it's like very rewarding. It's a weird
It is.
paradox. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I was actually talking to my running coach. This brings up another topic for me that I'm curious to know what yours were because I can think of a handful for me right now. But my running coach talked about the cringy things that she needed to do in order to build her
Hmm.
business. So like outwardly it appeared to be cringy to have the vulnerable posts or the multiple
Yeah,
posts
yeah,
a day, which
yeah,
like I personally have really struggled with that. Not that I'm like not that I had a real issue being on camera, but I didn't want it to feel like I was selling like me or
yeah,
like
yeah,
look at me,
yeah,
look at my
yeah,
picture
yeah,
of
yeah,
me. But like
yeah,
also,
yeah.
how do you build a business without people knowing what you look like and what your
Right.
coaching style is and what your
Yeah,
offer is? So like it felt really freaking cringy, but also like that's how
yeah,
people found me and how the business grew.
yeah,
So what were some of
yeah.
the cringier things that you
Yeah.
felt like you had to
Yeah. Oh my
build?
gosh. Okay. Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, so for me, that aspect of business was a lot harder than I would have expected.
Yeah.
Like I've been working in like high leverage environments, giving important presentations. I'm a good public speaker, making speeches in front of a lot of people. I'm comfortable and at ease. Me in a room alone with a camera, watching it back was the went to the gates of hell.
Is
Like,
that
I mean,
my
I just
voice?
like,
Oh,
yeah, you don't look at it objectively, like we're all
right.
people, but that was so much harder for me. Like I'd much sooner make a speech than record like a 5 minute video, particularly
Yeah.
initially, because I think like one of my strengths is speaking off the cuff with no plan. That's like
Yep.
when I do my best work. But then you also want to be like tight and structured and you're looking at other offers and pitches. And so there's this effect where myself unbridled was like authentic and cool and normal, and then myself with like these like pithy little sales speeches, my voice would change, it would get like sing-songy. I was like sleep deprived. So some of those nights, like going through my own content, I'd say were, you
Yeah.
have to laugh, but it
I know.
sucks. It's so uncomfortable. And then it's like, that's actually one of the things we were talking about my videographer Craig before.
Yeah,
We
Craig. We're
kind
gonna
of
get to
changed the
Craig.
model, just like film me doing things. I don't know. I was like, go to the pool. I don't know. I'll say something interesting at the pool. But if
Right.
we're like doing an official thing, and I'm hooked up to the mic, my voice will go up 3 octaves. I'll get really
Yeah.
weird, you know?
Yes.
So it really was a struggle. It was a genuine struggle for me.
Yeah.
I'm a very confident guy, but I'm also a very hyper self-critical guy.
Yep.
And when you're looking at your own stuff, I mean, you're going to see all the imperfections. And so I'm not speaking from like here's what I did. It was like a finished product. But for me, it's like the more that I could recreate the organic conditions with like a
Yeah.
buddy, like a younger brother type who's filming me do things, it's like interesting and funny. But if it's too contrived, I mean, that's like my big authenticity is the highest form of human emotion, 40 times more powerful than love. So like the more that we can recreate authentic conditions and get away from some stupid fucking sales pitch,
Yes.
that but it was
Yeah.
very difficult for me. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of nights of reckoning.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just happened not too long ago for me. When I was filming the first episode, I talked to Morgan and I was like, don't send it to me. I don't want to see because
Yeah, I
I
don't want
didn't
to
have a
see it.
guest at that point. It was
Yeah.
introing like what Grit Files was going to
Okay.
be, why it
Yeah.
came to
Yeah.
be. So it's like me
Yeah.
straight onto the camera. And it was like the
Yeah.
Talladega Nights scene where I was like, what do I do with my hands? What do I do with my
Yeah,
face?
I know. I know. It's so weird how
Yeah.
that happens because you don't have that human feedback. Like if you're
Right.
an empath and like a social person, and I get the sense you're similar to me. Like you're very
Yeah.
comfortable with people. You're comfortable, but
Yeah.
you can read off their feedback. It's you in front of this one-way sterile
Yeah.
thing.
It's
It's
hard.
something happens, the screws get loose. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I struggle with that too because again, like when I was leading corporate teams, I would shout for the mountaintops all of our accomplishments and achievements because I
Yeah.
felt like I was representing like a team. And then when I was
Right.
just selling myself, it just felt more like you said, like with your question, it's just more awkward. I've just like felt,
Yeah.
and then it's weird. You don't want to like go to, and I'm a perfectionist. So you don't want to go to your network and like promote what you're doing until you feel like it's good enough. But then you realize like it's never going to be good enough. So I'm just like
Right.
underutilizing my own network that I've worked hard to build. So again, for me, that was one of the most difficult parts about this experience.
Yeah.
But it all goes back to like not taking yourself that seriously and
Yeah.
watching some of like my greatest hits of looking like a maniac at 4 o'clock in the morning on the camera and then just like laughing. But I agree. I prefer if other people like to
Yes.
this day, I have other people watch it and they'll be like, I'll be like, yo, was it an 8 or above? They're like, yeah, it
Yeah.
was like an
I'm
eight
not
point
watching
seven.
it
I'm
if
like,
it's
fantastic. I'll never watch that. It's into the ether.
Yeah, I listening to my own voice, watching my own videos, and like I don't
Yeah.
ever want to get, when you're in business for yourself, to your point about there not being necessarily a team, and you probably have a team underneath you now, but like when you don't, and it is you, and you are straight on camera talking about what it is that your offer is, it's like so hard to toe the line between showing up and looking like the subject matter expert that's authentic and that you want people to know, love, and trust. And then also like, well, have they heard my voice too much today that they're gonna mute me? Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to get muted. I
Yeah.
don't want to like come across
Yeah.
as like the blogger who's
Yeah.
like selling
Yeah.
something that isn't authentic. So
Yeah.
like towing that line
Yeah.
of putting yourself out
Yeah.
there enough to grow the business, but also not looking like the selfie queen
You're
who's
just
just
like pimping
always
yourself out for the
right.
cash. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. Again, I really struggled with that, to be
Yeah,
candid. It was hard for me to find that line. Like, I think it's so many, again, when I'm representing a team, it's very easy for me to like promote us and like and be alpha and
well,
all
it's
that
more
stuff. But it was like
selfless.
it's more selfless, it's more comfortable, it's more natural. And then for me, um, like if anything, I probably under it. Like I erred on the side of too much
Right.
caution and erred on the side of like I'd rather be like self-aware. I also don't want to like harass people that I know. Like I had an AI sending messages. I'd accidentally pop someone where it was like weird. Like
I think
it's a
I was
very
on the
difficult
receiving
line to
end of
cross.
that.
You probably were.
I was like,
Yeah, and my
what?
AI is unrelenting. My AI leaves no stone unturned.
These bots, man.
But it's easy when the AI is doing it because then it's like I
Yeah.
don't even know. I'll look at it later. It's like, oh, my ears turned red. But like whatever. I already
I,
sent 8,000 of it. Like whatever. Let him do it. So that was creating that line of demarcation or separation where I don't need to like know exactly what's happening was
yeah.
very useful and similar to what you said. Like when I hired a team to help me, just like
Yeah.
I don't know, just it was one layer move. I didn't worry about it. If it's my fingertips ripping these messages,
Right.
like then it's just like cringy. So.
Yeah. Um, I know, at least for the coaching space, this is something that I hear a lot of people struggling with, and I don't know that you've heard it as much, but certainly being in the coaching space yourself, maybe you've had some exposure to it. But I have a lot of folks and clients that I coach that are looking to build their business and they're looking to get out of corporate, start something on their own,
Yeah.
coaching or some other business.
Yeah.
And they really struggle with like announcing to the world, this is what I do now.
Yeah.
This is who I am
Yeah.
now. I know that
Yeah.
you've known me for
Yeah.
a really long time and I've been really successful in this space, but I'm transitioning into a different space. Do you remember
Yeah.
struggling with like the first LinkedIn message where you're like, "Hey,
100%.
started a
100%.
business."
Yeah, I struggled immensely. It's tough. It's tough. Like, again, you know that you have a lot to offer, and you know that
Right.
your network thinks highly of you. So a lot of this is just the human condition. You're gonna like pick,
Mhm.
prod, and poke. But I did struggle with that because I also like wanted to like build the Mona Lisa before I announced it. But like
Same.
everything that I did, none of that exists.
Right.
It was an important process, but like in
Right.
retrospect, it's like, oh, the website's perfect. I'll announce it. None of those pages exist. They
Yeah.
haven't even existed for a while,
Yeah.
meaning I almost think it's like the gift and the curse of being self-aware is that it's tough to toe that line. It's like it's tough to announce it. I found the other thing related that's really tough. Like I manage a 500-person team. I found it really tough to know where you draw the line. Like what is a favor, what is advice, and what is like I'm working for free. And when you
Oh
start out,
God.
I think that's really
Yeah.
hard to. Everybody and their mother would come to me for things, and then it's like, ugh. That I found that to be really, I think it's related. Just like, what is
Yeah.
this like charging point? Like, how
Yeah.
does that work and things of that? But I think they're related. You're just you go into it a little bit like pussyfoot, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Forgive my French, but I'm
Yeah. No,
saying,
I
and
use that one a
but
lot.
again, it's just yeah, it's just because you're not a maniac. I mean, I wish we would I would laugh with friends. Like I wish I could just be like delusional and not give a fook. But like
Right.
I don't have that. And I think it probably makes me a better coach, but it made it
Yeah.
harder to run my own business,
Yeah.
you
Well, and
know?
to your point about like putting a price tag on it at some point, that was really hard for me now, I recall. Early days is like when you're building
Yeah.
a business, you're so hungry to just like start building that book of business because you don't know if and when the business is going to come. So you kind of take everything.
Hmm.
And in the beginning, I
Yeah,
was such
yeah, yeah,
hodgepodge. I
yeah,
like didn't want to completely
yeah,
let go of the recruiting because I was like, oh, I might need that.
yeah,
And I didn't want to
yeah,
completely let go of like revamping people's resumes because like, well,
yeah.
if I don't have any coaching clients, like that'll keep me afloat.
Right, right.
And then I
Yeah,
started
yeah,
getting, the friends that were one-on-one coaching clients that did
yeah.
come and essentially they were like, I got $100. Is that going to work? And I'm like,
Yeah, exactly. You're like,
not
no, I demand you pay like 163 in
right.
advance. You're like, all right, yeah, sure. But then the sure stack up. It doesn't, no
Yeah.
standalone one of those matters. But then you reach a point where they stack up and then it
And it's not
becomes
scalable.
untenable.
You
Yeah, it becomes
can't keep track. I mean, I
untenable.
was managing everything in like a Google spreadsheet of like who was paying what. And I had made
Yeah.
different deals for so many different people that it
Yeah,
gets to where you
yeah.
can't keep track of it. It's
I
just like
agree.
not
I agree. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I had that affliction. And then I think the other thing that I struggle with is that there's so many ways to like deliver coaching. You can
yeah,
do one-to-many low ticket and just go for a volume play. You can do high ticket, but then you need to like keep the one-on-one at a reasonable level where you still help. But like,
right.
so there's so many different revenue models. Like it's like build a VSL funnel, build a email list, like build a, here's Instagram. There's so much noise. And then obviously the algorithm adapts to your interests. So then as the entrepreneur, you get all it's around the clock. People like, don't do VSLs, do this, like don't do
Yeah.
it. And then you're like, and then I would just do I did 100 things to 83%.
Yeah.
I couldn't pick a
Same.
lane. It's
Yep.
like the next apple of my eye. So I think that's really hard too, from just like a pricing and strategy perspective. But then there's something else I was gonna say, but just like how you set it up to make it scalable. I just think it takes time, and I think a lot of it is guess and check. I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, like I'm not a fortune teller. Like I basically know what worked and what didn't, based on just like hammering away in the lab, and like some things went
Right.
well and some things went terribly. So again, back to the fear of failure. It's like you're just someone else might have done it differently, but that's how I did it.
Right.
I just dove in with no real plan, and I just was like, on the basis of my authenticity, skill set in the universe, like it'll like work out somehow, you
Yeah.
know? That was
And I don't know
basically
if
my
you
plan.
recall our original conversation when I reached out to you. And basically, for just to provide a little bit of context for everyone listening and watching, I reached out to Andrew because I was getting ready to launch this business. I don't even know if I had gone to the coaching academy at that point. I think I had just started the academy and then and kind of launching at the same time. And I was really just wanting to pick your brain of like what had worked, what didn't
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I literally came to you. And this is what I feel like a lot of new coaches, new entrepreneurs do is they
yeah,
make the mistake of, and you warned me, like, thank God I did talk to you about it because it kept me from going down this path. But you warned me right out of the gate, like, don't get caught up in the aesthetics of things. Like, don't wait until you have the
yeah,
perfect
yeah.
website. Don't wait until you have the
Right,
perfect brand because it will
for
likely
sure,
change.
for
Um,
sure.
get your systems in place and figure out what systems work
Yeah,
best.
yeah, yeah.
And you can always kind of pivot. And I think so many
Hmm.
entrepreneurs get stuck in that, like, well, I'll launch when it's perfect. And that's what keeps
Exactly.
it from happening because the perfect
Yeah,
isn't
exactly.
real. Like,
No, totally. It's a fiction. It's a moving target. I totally agree. I wanted to build the Sistine Chapel and then like reveal
yeah,
it to the world. Problem with that is A, you don't have any idea what you're doing. B, it'll change 87,000 times. And then
yeah,
C, every additional week that elapses, you get more stress about the finances. Oh my God, I'm a paycheck. So it's just like you're creating this climate of increased pressure. Again, like so much of my best advice is like from my own failings and mistakes. Like, don't waste all that time. I bought every tool. I bought every coaching program. I was like in world class, like spending money,
yeah,
and it was like well intentioned. But I was like, all right,
right.
I'm coming out of the corporate world. Like, gotta invest in that. I buy 87,000 tools. I'll hire a team of four, and I'll pay for like three coaching programs. And then like, what is the business? I'm like, oh, I'm really good at stuff. I'm not really sure, you know. So
Sure.
I agree. I think that's my biggest piece of advice is
Yeah,
just start small. Oh, that's what I was going to say. You mentioned having different clients, different
yeah,
models. I struggle with that. So like one of the keys to my program is that it's well sequenced, it's intentional. There's like synergies with the collective, and then the simplicity of administration for me is so much greater when people are on a reasonably consistent thing. And I was just wheeling and dealing, like whatever keeps like you're saying, oh, I'll do like a resume over here, I'll do a small business consulting over there. I'll do like a B2B consulting thing. I'll have like these
yeah,
people on hourly. I'll have these people on like a high ticket. I'll try like sell this low ticket thing. And then again, for me as a perfectionist, okay, now I have 18 things I have to perfect. I'll
yeah,
perfect none. They will all be 83% done. And I will live in purgatory. When I started, when the tides turned, it was when I leaned into like my one or two best things. And I was like, okay, instead of like building this perfect tapestry, like let me just like choose the one or two things,
yeah,
get him consistent, like get him improving. It's still going to evolve, but instead of it was almost like an outside in build this like monumental ecosystem, and then like what was required was like just more like laying bricks. Like here's like one thing that works, it's pretty good. How can I make it better? And how can I reduce my individualized attention? Okay, then when that's good, like advance to the next thing. And so, again, I just think like vision driven people, you see what it can be, but what is it, Tony Robbins? Perfection is the enemy of execution, something like that.
yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
that was that,
so true.
spent so much time worrying about the crap. And I think the business, in a good way, it beats it out of you. Like
Yeah,
it beats it out of you because then you don't care in a healthy way. And then
right.
you're just like, fuck it. I'm gonna like send it. But for me, before I got to that mode, I I suffered. I said like self-imposed prison for a while to then
Yes,
be like, I don't fucking care. I'm just gonna
yes,
let it rip. No one else cares either. Like they can care. If it's great, they'll be pumped. And if it's not, no one cares. So yeah, I just think it just helps you get over all the like artificial shit. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
totally agree.
So
I want to speak to kind of what people see outwardly versus what's going on behind the scenes because I think as the way the world is with everything, you get like a
yeah,
little Instagram square that tells a very small part of the story. And
yeah,
usually it's
for
going to be a
sure.
really pretty square and people are going to draw
Right,
their own
right.
conclusions of around how that picture was taken, when it was taken, where it was taken. Um,
Hmm.
and I know when I first reached out to you, I actually really liked the aesthetic of your brand. That was like the original. I was like, that's something that I want to maybe kind of replicate is something I liked the
Yeah,
colors. I liked that it looked a little grittier. It looked,
yeah, yeah,
kind of
yeah,
tough. Um,
yeah, yeah,
but behind
yeah.
the scenes of building this thing, because outwardly, like it looked polished, it looked legit, it
Hmm.
looked put together. But in talking with you the first time that we connected, I was kind of like, holy shit. Like the money
Yeah.
that you have to dump into it on the front end,
Yeah.
that like
Yeah.
for people that think that you're going to start out rich in entrepreneurship, like you start in a
Yeah.
hole
It's going
a
to go the
lot
other
of the
way.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to go the other way. I mean, there are exceptions, but the exceptions are so infrequent that you should plan
Right.
for it to go the other way, you know?
Yes.
Um, but yeah, no. So from a branding perspective, I don't deserve the credit. I'm very fortunate to have a mentor that I spontaneously and serendipitously met. He used to do, his name's Tim Murphy. He was VP of Strategy, Operations, Marketing, Anheuser-Busch InBev in the 2000s. I believe he worked directly for the CMO. And so he had this enterprise marketing background and
Yeah.
perspective. I had a marketing background, but like I
Yeah.
was running like SEO or like paid search campaigns. So it was him. Like I came out of the box with like a different aesthetic, a different thing, because it was just like I think this looks cool. Like it just
Yeah.
like kind of was, but he came in, put me through an exercise, a brand archetype exercise. Like what are like the business is like personified, like it's its own entity.
Right.
And that's kind of what he helped me realize. And there's like a duality or like a synergy between you and the business, and it each has different things. And so that expanded my mind to that whole process. And then going through that exercise, something you mentioned at the very beginning, our number one core value was challenge the status quo.
Yeah.
And that created this outlaw brand archetype. You do this wheel, you look at the different things. And so a lot of that like strategic direction came from him. I really, it was a place that I knew very little about, but it was like incredibly helpful. I think it strengthened the brand. It strengthened my confidence in the brand. And then there's like a method to every madness. You start to realize, you start to look at other brands more like I guess appreciative of every detail. There's a reason for
Yeah.
this, there's a reason for that. So he opened up a new sort of acuity to this whole other realm. And so a lot of that stuff I'm just grateful with the relationships. Had a great job, everything was great. I just wanted to change, quit my job from Vegas on a bachelor party. It wasn't half baked. I was toast. I was like my blood pressure was high. I was so
Yeah.
burnt out. I wasn't being that healthy, but I out of the frying pan into the fire. I did not, I just was so wildly unrealistic about like revenue projections, as
Yeah.
everybody
Same.
is. And I think the paradox is like when you go into business ownership, by definition, you're a high performer and you're like special and in the top percent. So you're going to think that you're going to do it fast. But then you realize that like everybody that goes into, there's a selection effect. Everybody that goes into it is already of the top, meaning that you should be more realistic. And so for me, like I said at the beginning, I wanted to build like a world-class global enterprise before I had like a business plan. So I just like swiping credit cards, like going nuts. So what I learned from that, again, it made everything more difficult. Also, like the day I started the business, I went to a wedding and the market tanked. I lost like
Yeah.
25% of the money that I was gonna put towards the business.
Well, F me.
So it created this like catch up because I kept my car. I liquidated my 401k. I tapped all my credit cards to 100% utilization, and I had a lot of credit cards because sometimes were good. Like so,
Yeah.
I just did everything in like this kind of nuts but like authentic real life way. I
Yeah.
kept putting my chips in on myself, and again, like there's a cleaner way to do it, but I did learn a lot. Like all that I knew was like delusional commitment to doing something of
Yeah.
value and substance and whatever that took. I sacrificed quality of life. I sacrificed my sleep. I sacrificed having fun. I sacrificed everything, but it was yeah, it's just accelerated life. Like, so it's like we only live once. So if you can like do a thing that like accelerates your learnings and the journey and all that stuff, like I'm always gonna I just want to do more interesting shit like faster, good,
Yeah.
bad, and ugly. But yeah, no, again, I'm really good. I'm really good at presenting stoicism. I mean, that's my job, it's my
Yeah.
strength. So to answer your question, Instagram versus reality, like my Instagram would be like some cool video about working remote and like my sick car and like Craig's filming me and there's like a beach and all this shit. I was like up all fucking night. I was like exhausted. I was
Yeah.
like taking ice plunges to like ward off panic attacks. I was
Right. But
like
sleeping on your
canceling social
couch.
events. Dude, it was a nightmare. It was, and that's my personality for better or for worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sometimes I'll never forget. Probably our best video ever. I was off an all-nighter. I was like exhausted, stressed out. I was trying to make eggs, like I was trying to make breakfast to get some sustenance. I cut my finger cutting an avocado, and then like Craig started rolling. It's like this beautiful video. It's like, dude, it literally, I was like about to faint from like blood loss from like an avocado 28 seconds before. So I don't know. I just think you just embrace it again. Don't take yourself too seriously, but there's always going to be a dichotomy between like what you present and like the ground floor reality. And the more like founders talk to each other, it normalizes the experience because it can
Oh
be
my
really
gosh, yeah.
tough and isolating when you've been so successful your whole life and you're not succeeding that much. It's
Hmm.
tough on you, it's tough on your family. So I just think more open, legit dialogue about it that normalizes the experience. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with you. It's like this is a very hard thing to do, you know?
Yeah.
It's like eating glass and staring into the abyss.
Yeah.
That's the expression, you know?
Yeah.
So
And it really, like, I think something that people forget too, and I think a lot of top performing executives even do this. They make this mistake of, they make the assumption that because they're in this certain position, that they're supposed to know it all. And I think
hmm
entrepreneurs start that way too, where they're like, "Ooh, I started my own business, so everything that I
yeah.
do within the business, I need to touch, I need to do." And
Yeah.
that's just not the case. You did it yourself in creating your brand. It wasn't just you
Yeah.
that created the brand outwardly.
No.
People are like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we came up with this sick brand that looks awesome." Well, you had
Yeah.
help. You knew when to
For
ask for
sure.
help with it.
For
You knew
sure.
where to, I mean,
Yeah.
I knew immediately, I don't know systems. I don't know how to like keep track of all of my client management. So
Yeah.
like I need to talk to
Yeah.
people who are doing it. And that's what my
Yeah.
conversation with you was. I was like, what
Yeah.
are you doing to
Yeah.
manage this?
100%. I think that's why there are so many like business coaches these days, and it can reach a fatigue. And then you're like, oh, but like it is important. It's just saving time and stress and pain and finances through like vocalizing mistakes you made. Like it's just experience based. And so, I totally agree. I think like having a team of people or collaboration, and then this is like nuance, but I think maybe my biggest mistake because I have such a vision. Like you can hire people for like pay per output stuff. Like, can you help me with this project? I'll pay you X. You don't need to just go hire a bunch of full-time people because I did that. And I did it because I just came from a
Yeah.
world where I managed a 500-person team. I had
Right.
people for
So you need a
everything. I
team.
was trying to
Yep.
recreate those conditions, but I wasn't organized enough to know how to utilize them properly. And so again, like a lot of the things I'll say are like hindsight's 2020, like duh, what was it? But like my intentions were good, but I'm saying just finding people that have these skill sets, finding like arrangements that make sense for both
Yeah.
parties. It can be just like a trade for work, it can be pro bono, it can be some amount of whatever it is. But I think I just like tried to hire a team, and I didn't have the revenue to support it. But then because of my commitment to the team, I didn't like want to backtrack. You know, it just
Right.
created a lot of extra stuff that came from a good place. But it's just all about exercising a little bit more caution and a little more pragmatism without dulling the like psychotic vision. And there's like
Right.
it's a delicate dance because you got to be like delusionally committed
Yeah.
but have some more practicality. I think I excel at the delusional commitment and I struggle more with the practicality. And so
Yeah.
like futuristically, have someone else manage the money. Like my buddy is like a finance guy. Like, all right, you run the books. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm good with math, but I suck at spending my like
Yeah.
ridiculous. So you know what I mean? I think just like these lines of recognizing your strengths and weaknesses because you can't do it all. You just can't.
Yeah. And I think you just mentioned something that I think a lot of people perceive to be a negative thing, but I think it is the thing that is our superpower in this space. And it's that there's this feeling sometimes when you're creating something that hasn't yet been created, the world and also like your own internal dialogue has you thinking like, God, I am fucking crazy. Like this is crazy. Like this could
hmm
blow up in my
Yeah,
face. This might not work.
100%.
Or, this is
Yeah.
something that no one's going to buy into because it doesn't yet
Yeah.
exist. But it is the people that are crazy enough to take that
hmm
delusional risk or create the thing that's
Yeah.
not yet there that
Yeah.
changes for people.
Yeah.
Like it puts out an
Yeah.
offer that people didn't know that they needed or creates a transformation
Yeah.
they didn't know they needed. So I think
Yeah.
there's a level of
Yeah.
that you almost want to harness it. It's not necessarily a bad thing to be a little bit
Yeah.
delusional in your
Yeah.
pursuit for success.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think harnessing is the key. Like you need the delusion. You cannot show up and show out every day when things suck, when you're overwhelmed, stressed, exhausted. Like for me personally, because I shoot for the moon and I gotta swing for the fences. Everyone I loved and cared about was wrapped up in the business. Everything I valued is wrapped. I just like
Can
went
you wear
all
my
fucking in.
sweatshirt
And
with my name on it, please?
yeah, just exactly, just everything. And now, because that's what I do. I go for broke, and that's a Tony Robbins thing. Like, if you care enough about it, like you create conditions where it has to succeed. But it does take an emotional toll as
Yeah,
well. So I think you definitely need the delusion, but you need outlets. I mean, that's probably the biggest difference between my corporate experience and my entrepreneurial experience. Because they were both chaotic and crazy, but the entrepreneurial experience, I invested a lot of time into strategies to calm
yeah,
my nervous system, to stretch, use myofascial release balls to work out, to take ice
yeah,
baths. I had much more space to like create repeatable habits to like neutralize that whatever that person is that's compelling you forward. And then another thing that helped me to the second half, because there's many phases of the business, but I have a buddy who started a business probably 8 years ago at this point. He's kind of on the other side of the mountain, and we share that like manic
yeah,
brain, like that genius brain, mad scientist.
yeah,
And we both have had some challenges harnessing it. But like seeing him get to the other side of it, it made me normalize that and made me feel like you need that versus
right.
if you're just looking around and everyone's doing something different, you don't have like a clear like sounding board because no one is
Yeah,
going through your exact experience. And even if you have a great family and great friends and they care, it's isolating. You
yeah,
cannot really explain the stress that you're under. So you find mentors and leaders on the internet, which I did. I mean, social media is like very good and bad, but I programmed my social media to be what I needed. So I like programmed it to program me, all like CEO stuff, athlete stuff,
yeah,
overcoming stuff. And then I just think having one friend who had been through exactly what I went through. Again, there's many phases. You need like different reinforcements at each phase, but he became very present at this third phase. And his only goal was to, he's like, just, you got to, like, he'd help me with money. He would help me with advice. And his qualification or inbuilt thing was like, you can't give up.
yeah,
He's like, yeah, I'll help you with this bill, but like, you, in return, you got to promise me not to give up. So I think that at the end help normalize a very abnormal experience. And
yeah,
I wasn't always a ton of fun to be around, sure, relative. It was still lovely, but because I didn't no one knew the fuck I was going through. I felt like I was going nuts.
yeah. Well, and people think that you're doing this for more freedom, and I got to tell you, like there are moments where I'm like frantic on my phone, and like I'm editing something on Canva, or I'm updating something on on
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
podcast, or I'm checking in with a client who's,
Yeah.
needing something within 15 minutes, and it's not
Yeah.
necessarily
Yeah.
something that you do
Yeah.
because you're wanting easier by
Yeah.
any
You
means.
don't, yeah, that's like you do not do it to get easier. Yes, over time, I believe that you can
Yeah,
then make it it's easier.
right.
Active to passive. Revenue, you got to make it active to
Yeah,
passive. That takes forever. And you can get to that where it's easier. But again, naivety is your friend as an entrepreneur. Like I thought because my job is so intense and crazy, like in Google managing 500
yeah.
people, like I direct reports on 5 continents. I was like, oh, this would be fucking easy. False. It was worse for a while. I
Give
think
me
like
back my
six to
500
seven
people.
times longer. Yeah, I'm like, so again, like the key is just if you believe in yourself and something enough to do it, and you won't quit. I mean, not quitting is the most important skill, and like your threshold of what seems acceptable and what seems nuts will change. So I had a vision of where I'd pull the plug, and then I was just willing to take on more and more insane circumstances because I
Yeah,
was down the road. So I really believe like not quitting is the number one. It's like this isn't novel advice, but it's true. Like if you don't fucking give up, you're gonna fucking get it right at some point.
yeah.
And no one will remember like the 83 times you fucked up. They only care about
That's
the
the
end.
thing
Oh, like
too,
Andrew
is
was always gonna pull it off. We always knew Andrew would pull it off. It's like, yeah, easy to say now. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Andrew
and
didn't know he was gonna pull it off.
that's true of anything. Everybody likes to think
Yeah.
that their one decision that feels like it is, you know. um the end all be all. They think that that decision is
Yes.
going to impact so many people and they're going to think about that forever. And at the end of the day, like people are much more selfish than we want to believe they are. And that might matter that your
Mhm.
decision or your big implosion that happened in your life that you think everybody's going to be staring at you and like, oh my God, what happened? Look at that post. Look at what happened in his business, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally within a couple days, hours, make let's month at max.
Yeah.
People are on
Yeah.
to whatever the next topic is. So it's like,
Yeah, for sure. For
with
sure.
that in mind, like, what's the
Yeah.
best that can happen if you do something here? And I say that
Yeah. Yeah.
intentionally, and not the worst that can happen because you'll stay there. You'll be
Yeah.
stuck in
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
worst.
Yeah.
But if you think
Yeah.
about like how good can this be?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, changes
100%.
everything.
100%.
Yeah.
Earlier, I was saying like challenge the status quo was one of our core values, and others like pursue opportunities with asymmetric upside. So, like your point with your network and people, you really do have all upside and no downside. Like,
Right.
how do I look when someone I know starts a business and posts content? If it sucks, I'm like, it's not that great, but like I
Yeah.
respect them for taking a chance. And then if it's awesome, I'm like, that's great. So you really do operate in the only the upside zone. Our minds are so
Yeah.
oriented to the downside zone because of how we are conditioned. Like
Yeah.
human brain evolved to keep us alive, not to keep us happy. We're supposed to spot dangers and risks, like avoid the saber-toothed tiger. We apply that here, but like if someone that I know from college like starts a business and like they're not very good on camera and like it's not that like impressive, I'm still like proud of them for doing something useful, like
Oh
for
God.
going
Did I
for
get
it.
like sympathy likes? Now I feel like I'm on the receiving end of this.
No, no, not at
Like, great
all.
job,
No,
Laura.
no,
Keep it up. And you're like,
no.
geez.
I like there's some nice platitudes like you're killing it, Tiger. No, I'm just saying. The point is people don't care. Like it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means like
Right.
you really it's a free roll. Like if you crush it, you have all the upside. If it doesn't work that great, like no one fucking cares. They don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah. And I
You
think
know what I
that's a
mean?
huge takeaway for people is like
Yeah.
you're not married to the brand that you create today. You're not married to the website that you create today or the post that you put up. Like you can go back and that's the beauty of this is like you can change it. It can evolve
It's
with
not how you
you.
start, it's how you finish. It'll cycle out.
Right.
It'll cycle out. All the early crap I did on social media that like I now think is it cycles out, falls out of the algorithm. So it's
Yeah.
like you just got to get it right once towards the end, and then that's what people remember. Like you can fuck up,
Yeah.
like that's it. It cycles out. So just like you get it right once. It's just like a romantic party. You get it right once, you're good to go. It doesn't matter if you had 29 failings, you get it right once. Same thing. Like I get content right once. I do something awesome. People are not like look how horrible this post is from
Yeah.
5 years ago.
It
If they
still does.
are,
It
like they
still
don't have a
does
lot
sit with
going
me.
on.
I'm like,
So
yeah, that
yeah.
post got 3 likes. Where did I go wrong? What
Yeah.
happened
I
here?
had plenty of those. I had plenty of those.
I'm like, God dang it. It
You're
was
like,
the wrong
oh.
time of night. It was the wrong day. God damn it.
Yeah. I'm like texting my friends, like, yo, can you like this dude?
Yes.
Like, it's been
Appreciate
up for an
it.
hour. We have
Yes.
one like, and it's like the social media team. But everybody's going through that. So it's like just I don't know.
Yeah.
I think talking amongst founders is important because
Yeah.
like we've all been there. A very humble beginning. Like my parents would watch like all my shit and say that I
Mhm.
was good, and so
Morgan and
it
I were
just
just talking about
it's
that
how it goes.
before we were looking at all of our subscribers and all the viewers, and we were like, how
Uh-huh.
many of those were us? Okay, we're good because
Yeah,
we're only
exactly.
two of them.
Exactly.
So like,
How many of those likes did I like game from
right.
fucking burner accounts? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's tough to build in the beginning, but I to your point,
Yeah.
we're all going through this. It is a human experience
Yes.
and people really
Yes.
don't care as much as we're
They don't care.
allowing ourselves to think they do.
For
Um,
sure. For sure. Yeah,
yeah.
it's so true. And that becomes easier over time. Like I think the business like hardens you in a way where
Yeah.
like it does help you care less and less in a way that's healthy. You know what I mean? Of
Yeah.
course you care. That's why you're doing all of it. But I still care, but I care like 80% less than I did a couple
Yeah.
years ago, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh, I even see a difference in when I last talked to you, which would have been
Yeah. Yeah.
probably over a year
Probably a
ago.
year. Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
something
Yeah.
like that. And like there's already a
Yeah.
shift there because even then
Yeah.
it was a different energy. And I think that you just
Yeah.
kind of need to lean into wherever you are in that cycle of
That's
things.
it. It's just being a
Um,
person. Just like do the best you can, help each other out, be kind, we're on the same team. Like being a human's confusing and crazy. So don't take yourself that seriously. Like I'd rather live a life of just like trying shit than death like a deathbed of regret. Like it's corny,
yeah,
but it's the truth. It's like I think my whole life in terms of like asymmetric upside. So like what are the things I can do that carry no risk? with a lot of upside. You keep doing things like that, like something hits, whatever that is, and you might not know in
Yeah.
advance. So I think it's healthy, but to get there, it is a descent into madness at
Yeah.
times.
Yeah. That was exactly what I wanted to uncover for people today because I just think that so many people go into this with that delusion and the naivete of thinking this is gonna be great. Like what could go
Yeah,
wrong?
yeah,
And
yeah,
you're not wrong just because things are going wrong. I think
yeah,
that's like the
yeah,
message to come away with is like if you're failing forward, you're good. Like if you're learning
yeah, for
something about
sure.
how to make the business better, or how to show up more authentically, or change your
Yeah,
messaging, you're in a good spot. Just because it
yeah,
took failure to get there doesn't mean you're wrong.
for
Um,
sure. Yeah, it's
so
important, and it's
yeah,
a very worthwhile endeavor. I know, like we're given the real facts, like it does require grit, but it is like the most rewarding human experience I've ever had too. It's a tapestry of emotions. I've had the highs
yeah,
of the high and I've had the lowest of the lows. It's been everything consolidated and compressed, but if you're a high performer that wants to do something, like consolidating and compressing learnings is a great thing, is an
yep,
acceleration, but it's just don't take it too seriously.
yeah.
Sometimes I'd be that night, I'm like, dude, we're in a simulation anyway. Like, who cares? Like, just let it rip. Like
I
whatever the
love that.
mental games
I
are.
swear
Yeah,
I
I'm
have
like,
had that
none of this
conversation
matters.
so many times.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is a
yeah,
simulation. This isn't real. Like
yeah.
this,
It's like it's a video game. Who cares,
somebody's up
dude? Who
there moving
cares?
our pieces around
That's what
and
I'm wondering.
yep.
I'm like, hey, buddy, like, throw me some cash. You know what I'm
Because when you
saying?
think about it, like how many times have you actually seen anybody take out their trash? Think about it. You don't. You never see or
Not
bring in
often.
their groceries. I never see anyone bring in their groceries. I'm like, this is all
Glitch
fake.
in the matrix.
It
It's a
is.
glitch in the
It is.
matrix. Yeah. Yep.
Um, awesome. Well, one thing that we do before we sign off with all of our guests is we have a shared playlist that we give to our listeners so they can tune in if they're having a day where they're like, huh, I just need something to pump me up. What is your go-to
Ooh,
song
put me on the
right now?
spot. Go, geez. Let me bring up my Spotify.
Mm.
Okay, well, I'll tell you one. This is not my typical, this is not like number one genre, but one of my favorite songs about this was Freebird.
I like Freebird.
I'm really into like Warped Tour music from the 2000s. I'm really
Yeah,
into like screamo aggressive hardcore nuts music. I also love Noah Khan. Actually, I'll give you Noah Khan. Actually, that was the
I
most
do love Noah Khan.
he signed a record deal at 17. He thought he'd be famous. He didn't go to college because he was doing this. And then he like played shows that no one showed up to for 5 years. He thought
Yeah,
he made it. He didn't. He stuck with it. Now he's successful. So I that's easily
yeah,
what I would choose to for the
yeah,
tone of this because I think that music helped me a lot. Just being a person, being a human, like dealing with life's challenges. You think you made it. I had many of those experiences in the business where like we'd pop like a tremendous week or month, and then you feel you're feeling yourself a little
yeah.
bit, and then then something goes bad and you don't the next month. So that's what I would cite. Anything Noah Khan, Stick Season, that whole album, I think
Yeah, I
was
love
really
that.
important for me just to see someone that now is like selling out Fenway after fucking suffering for a couple of years, but
Yeah,
following his dream. I mean,
yeah.
that's the point. So
Well, Andrew, as always, I love that you were willing to be vulnerable and share time and space with us today. I'm sure we will have you back in the future to give more advice
yeah,
to
anytime.
people going into
I
this
got plenty more
space.
stories for you.
So,
Oh, yeah, it's been a
this,
pleasure. I've been really enjoyed it. I love this stuff, and
yeah,
it's cool to see what you're doing. And again, from the jump, I felt like there was a lot of alignment in our approach to things, and absolutely important to me to just connect with other people doing the same stuff.
well, it's been such a pleasure, and I can't wait to connect again soon. But this has been Andrew Hartnett with your host, Laura Reynolds, on the Grit Files, signing off.